With Snap having produced its first earnings as a listed company and having disappointed investors, it received a sharp reminder that while a high-profile social media provider can create headlines for its listing, the harsh reality is that it needs to earn money, or at least have a prospect of earning money, as Twitter knows only too well. Does Snap make Twitter seem a better proposal? Richard Windsor joins us now from Edison in Abu Dhabi. Richard, first of all, these Snap earnings, shares were down some 25% at the worst point. What was it that disappointed you?
Well, to be honest with you, nothing really disappointed me because I've been a little bit skeptical on it for a while, and even in the blue sky scenario, I've struggled to get a share price valuation higher than about 16 per share. But I think really what happened here is it's a very highly valued stock. When you have this kind of valuation, you've not only got to meet expectations, you've got to beat them substantially. And unfortunately, Snap didn't do that. So what's really happened is, and I think an awful lot of froth came out of the valuation. Given where it is today, I think it still looks expensive. But that's really what you saw, rather than a massive undershoot or a massive miss. It was more about expectations versus reality.
Is there light at the end of the tunnel for Snap?
I think there is. Its question is you have to separate company versus share price. Company, most definitely. When we look at it from a perspective of what kind of revenue could it generate over the next 3 or 4 years, it's not inconceivable that revenues could reach something around $2 billion per year. It's not inconceivable. But here again, at that point, they would then be likely to flatten out significantly. Now, unfortunately, again, when you look at valuation, you say, okay, what's this thing worth in 5 years' time? In order to get to today's share price, you need revenues to be substantially above 2 billion in 3 to 5 years' time. And that's, again, where our problems with the share price emerge.
What about the competition? Because there are others out there, most notably Facebook, which is beginning to mimic some of the things that Snapchat provides through Snap. The difficulty is, isn't it, that it's not unique, I don't think, is it, Snap?
Yeah, that's the big problem. And this is where you really start to differentiate Facebook from, I beg your pardon, Snap from Twitter. Snap has been very innovative in its field. It's done all sorts of interesting things around, annotating videos and, being able to paint live things on pictures and things of that sort. But what's happened is that Facebook has rolled out the camera. It's rolled out this kind of augmented reality across all of its different services. And it's effectively replicated a number of Snap's innovations with great effect. And that's the real problem.
Let's bring in the Twitter angle to this, because unlike Snap, Twitter, I mean, again, it's finding it very difficult to monetize, and we've seen a number of quarters of earnings, and the company continues to underperform. Yeah, the shares have risen recently, but I mean, what the problem is with Twitter is the fact it just doesn't ever seem able to be able to make money. And I mean, to some degree, this is the same problem for Snap. Snap, long term, it's going to find it difficult to provide the investor with a return.
Well, I think that it's two very different things, actually. If you look at Twitter now, the reason why Twitter's got into difficulties is not that it's unable to monetize in its space, that it's unable to grow. The problem is that Twitter is stuck in a niche, which is the niche of microblogging. No one really uses it for anything else, but it has done an amazingly effective job at monetizing that space. If it was to say, right, okay, we can't do anything else, we're not going to grow, this is our space, this is where we live, they could actually make quite a substantial amount of money, but the price would be no growth. This is why I think Twitter is in a better position than, say, Snap, because if you take Twitter, in that microblogging space, it is unopposed. There is no one else out there, with the exception of a company in China, which only does China, called China Weibo. But that represents no threat to Twitter at all. On the other hand of it, Snap, doing what it is doing, with Facebook copying everything and having more than 3 times, or more than that, more than about 5 times the number of users that Snap has, it can face real competitive pressure. And Facebook, being bigger and stronger, can massively outspend Snap in order to compete aggressively against it.
My understanding was originally, I think Facebook made a serious offer for Snap, and of course Snap missed the opportunity then. Do you see Snap ultimately being part of a larger company? And of course, I suppose really the same question goes for Twitter.
I think that's a distinct possibility, yes. However, if you look at the price that Facebook offered, I think it was about $3 billion. With the company currently valued in excess of 20 at the moment, you could say that actually Snap did the right thing by refusing that offer. But yes, I think very possibly if Snap gets into the same position as Twitter, fully monetizes its space, can't grow anymore, then yes, like Twitter, it could potentially become an acquisition target for one of the larger guys looking just to roll out their influence more broadly across all the different digital life properties.
Would you own Twitter over Snap, or do you think they're both a non-starter for the savvy investor?
What I would do is, if I had to have one, I'd have Twitter, certainly, because its position is much more secure than Snap's when you look at it fundamentally. But on a valuation basis, I wouldn't have either of them. Now, the way I would look at them actually is if either of them got below around about $10 a share, that's when certainly I think I would start to smell an opportunity in one of those two.
Okay, Richard, all right, it's a pleasure. Thanks indeed for joining us. Richard Windsor there from Abu Dhabi, where he's joining us from Edison.